Okay, if you've been watching me for a while, you're probably familiar with Flashpoint. I used to cover this all the time. Well, somebody made a documentary on Flashpoint. I want to give this a listen. Check this out.
Investigating Flashpoint, a TV show that's been championing this rhetoric that's been linked to the violence of January 6th.
President Trump does not need to concede he won.
I've traveled to Nebraska to explore what real-world consequences this language could have.
I felt like the spiritual warfare stuff was very real.
I was just like, okay, that's a cult.
More than 12 hours since Charlie Kirk was killed.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis.
What I didn't realize was that it was already playing out around me.
Where'd this LGBTQ elemental P crap come from?
The classic joke. You catch his classic joke there? So good. I've never heard that one before, actually. I don't know why I called it a classic. That's a new one. First time I've ever heard anybody ever say that in my life.
Let's bring the devil down!
Bro, why is this such low quality? That's weird. It's in 1080. I don't understand. I mean, I have YouTube Premium. I don't know why it's so bad.
We hit first and start the war and go out there and take it.
Seeming to me like you're trying to start something by saying, oh, we're saying the word war, and aren't you? You're trying to say things like that.
No, but that is what I'm hearing in that.
Yeah.
And it is what I hear in
This
that.
kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
Christianity
The Trump religion. Interesting.
is on the decline in the US, yet America still remains one of the most religious countries in the West. And with white evangelicals making up around 19% of the American electorate, for Republican candidates, securing the white evangelical vote is considered an essential for success.
My name is Matthew Taylor. I'm a senior Christian scholar at the Institute for Islamic, Christian, and Jewish Studies in Baltimore.
Back in 2015, when Donald Trump announced he was going to run for president, the businessman was met with skepticism from the elites of the evangelical movement.
You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy.
He's thrice married. He's foul-mouthed. He rarely darkens the doors of a church. He cannot name his favorite Bible passage. There were all these moments during that campaign where the conventional observers and commentators on evangelicalism were observing Trump and the disconnect that he was having with these elite evangelicals and saying, therefore, he cannot connect with evangelicals. In 2015, as he's in the Republican primary, he knows that he needs to speak to evangelicals and win over evangelicals if he's going to have any chance in this Republican primary. And so he turns to his most trusted spiritual advisor, a woman named Paula White Cain, who herself is a non-denominational charismatic megachurch pastor, an apostle. And so she doesn't appeal directly to the elites of evangelicalism, of the religious right, of Christian nationalism, however you want to kind of term that. She appeals to the margins. She appeals to her people.
So today we pray for Donald Trump.
And some of these figures included those from within a fringe movement of the evangelical sector, the New Apostolic Reformation.
The New Apostolic Reformation. I covered them a while back. I don't know if you guys remember, but it's those people who like had the monster trucks that they were running all over the place and like running over cars and stuff at their church services. And I could be wrong here, but I believe that they have the largest Christian music account on Spotify. So they are responsible for like 90% of the Christian music on Spotify or something.
I think there's really kind of three central pieces to understanding the NAR. So one is this kind of apostles and prophets leadership idea. One is this very hyperactive vision of spiritual warfare. They believe whole societies could be taken over by these hierarchies of demons and that they were unleashing this new power to strategically battle back. Trump has really also welcomed their support. And so these charismatic kind of marginal figures kind of wedge themselves in between the base and the elites. And this leads to a revolution in the culture of the religious right, culture of evangelicalism, who today are some of the most influential religious leaders in the country. But a decade ago, nobody had ever heard of them. In terms of the broader sector within which the New Apostolic Reformation operates, is what we would call the independent charismatic sector. That sector of American Christianity and of global Christianity is the fastest growing sector.
Yeah, this is Timu Seth Rogen, right? That's what I was thinking.
Trump went on to win the election in 2016. In doing so, he secured 81% of the white evangelical vote, a record high for Republican presidential candidates. Back in 2011, a study found white evangelicals were the least likely religious group to say personal immorality was compatible with an ethical political life. But in 2016, they were the most likely to agree with this. And while Trump didn't win in 2020, 84% of white evangelicals backed him. So how did Trump win over the white evangelical vote? That's where Flashpoint comes in.
He won them over by suckering them into believing that he would do whatever. I mean, and you know what? I guess he didn't sucker them into it because he is doing it for them. He is doing what they want. These are Project 2025 types of people.
So we're in Omaha, Nebraska, and tomorrow there's supposed to be a Flashpoint event going on here in Omaha. So we're going to see if we can check it out.
TV viewers fed up with the mainstream news media pushing liberal ideas and a radical agenda are switching channels to discover Flashpoint.
In the lead up to the 2020 election, the Victory Channel, owned by televangelist Kenneth Copeland, set up Flashpoint, a show featuring some of these NAR leaders.
Let me get started with our panel again tonight. Dutch Sheets, Pastor Hank Kuhneman, Mario Murillo,
Yeah, these are some regulars.
and Lance Wallnau.
And some of those people pray with Donald Trump regularly. Like, they are on his faith advisory panel board or whatever. And I believe that, you know, I may be incorrect in saying that I think Trump has been on here. I think Trump was supposed to be there, but promised that he would watch. And they made a big deal out of it. However, Don Jr., Eric, Trump, and all these others, they have been on here.
The slogan where politics and prophecy align, the show combines political affairs with religion, prophecies, and conspiracy.
This socialist anti-God propaganda engine serves two purposes. By cutting you off, it tries to brainwash you into believing that this socialist, anti-God, liberal worldview is normal.
These are the ones that vilified ivermectin and every other remedy for COVID.
This man, his soul is lost. He could be a son of Satan.
Yeah, these people, I believe that they came into existence in leading up to the 2020 election. I think Kenneth Copeland chose to create this in an effort to completely violate state-church separation and radicalize his Christian audience. And it was only supposed to last for 6 months originally, but they just never shut it down because it was getting really good ratings.
Just trying to expose to real people what the media's been up to. That's why I say turn it off. Go to Gene. I get more from your newscast. I really do.
They aren't newscasts. I want to make that clear. They're not newscasts. It's political commentary. I don't do newscasts.
Flashpoint regulars all share one common belief.
God anointed Donald Trump. He is anointed by God to wreck the institution.
In September of 2020, when Flashpoint launches, the viewership of Victory Channel was around 55,000. And then January of 2021, it jumps to 32 million. And I can say, just having been in this research space and what the Christians were consuming during that time and the people who participated in January 6th were consuming during that time. And Flashpoint is just ubiquitous in those spaces.
That's really interesting.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
I would describe most of 2020 and into early to mid 2021 as a sort of crucible for the NAR and its ideas and the MAGA movement. And part of what's going on in that crucible is a mass radicalization of a lot of Christians. By 2020, you've had this chorus of prophets all saying in unison, God has said Donald Trump is destined to win this election.
Donald J. Trump will stand again in this land, whether you like it or not.
The will of...
And then they had to walk it back and apologize, embarrassed. There were calls for their resignation as pastors and everything because they had a false prophecy. I remember. I covered it.
God can be thwarted if Satan and the demons intervene and try to stop it.
So we have to win this in the spirit because the flesh and the devil is manifest.
Once the election was called for Joe Biden and then Trump decided not to concede, all these prophets basically follow in Trump's footsteps.
President Trump does not need to concede. He won. This is now or never. This is it.
I'm not going to let the enemy come in and steal my nation.
And those on the left and others, even some of the Republicans that have sided with these demonic spirits, are about to experience trouble from the hand of God.
If you go through the social media feeds of Christians who are there, and I've looked at hundreds, these Flashpoint videos of Dutch sheets, videos of Lance Wallnau, but it was everywhere. So I have tracked more than 60 independent charismatic leaders who were in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. The overwhelming majority of Christian leaders that I have been able to identify come out of this independent charismatic world.
We love you and we thank you. In Christ's holy name we pray.
I would argue that Flashpoint was perfected after January 6th and became even more influential.
Totally. I absolutely agree. Their numbers shot through the roof in recent years, and they even basically purchased the intellectual property from Kenneth Copeland from the Victory Channel and are now independent for the first time, as of 2 months ago or something.
This is a war on Christianity.
This wasn't a pro-Trump mob storming the Capitol. This was organized Antifa radicals.
Just the amount of corruption. I'll just say corruption.
We are going to fight for this nation like those warriors did because we don't want the light to go out in this nation.
These people know they're lying, in my opinion, and are intentionally lying with the goal of deceiving people and getting people whipped into a blood frenzy over fictitious grievances. That's what it seems like to me.
We don't have time. Not one day in office with Biden would be good.
It's been nearly 5 years since January 6th. Trump was impeached again and acquitted, then indicted 4 times. And despite being convicted on all 34 charges, his polling rose in the Republican presidential nomination race. He faced 2 assassination attempts and went on to win the US election, just shy of winning the popular vote. The first US president to be convicted of felony crimes secured 81% of the white evangelical vote. Again. In April this year, Flashpoint went independent from the Victory Channel and has featured guests from Charlie Kirk to Benjamin Netanyahu to Donald Trump.
I will say this.
They're all in for Israel, these people are. They'll do anything for Israel.
Christianity, I believe, is being hit much harder than any other religion.
Now, 8 in 10 US adults say that Republican and Democrat voters cannot agree on basic facts. I've spent hours watching Flashpoint episodes from the past 5 years and have almost grown accustomed to their constant refrain.
This is a spiritual war.
The government is warring against the word.
We're going to bring the enemy down. God is going to recapture a generation.
This should be a wake-up call to you that we do need to arm ourselves.
I don't think that I believe that these are ends justify the means people, which, in my opinion, is the definition of extremist, as opposed to radical. A radical wants to change society for the better. Whether it's actually better is, to be determined. Abolitionists were radical in the 1800s, wanted to get rid of slavery completely. That was a radical position for a long time, right? But extremists were willing to take that extra step to do something violent. That in ends justify the means mentality. Whatever it takes, whatever it costs, we will do it. That's ends justify the means. It doesn't matter what means we use to get there. The end justifies that. The end I'm trying to reach justifies whatever method I use to get there. And these people are ends justify the means extremists, where they believe that they should lie on behalf of God or lie on behalf of themselves or whoever else. Do literally whatever it takes to turn the United States into a Christian nation, into a theocracy. That's the idea.
Capitol riots have become a symbolic reminder of political polarization in the US. And while we haven't seen anything of that scale since, I'm left wondering, could it happen again?
Oh, absolutely, dude. Are you serious? I would argue that what we've seen in the past 6 months with Trump in power has been worse than January 6th. January 6th was pretty bad, though.
One that thinks that it ends tonight is totally mistaken. This is not the end. This is the very beginning.
Not only is Omaha where this Flashpoint live show was to take place, it's also home to Lord of Hosts, the Church of Hank Kunneman, arguably one of the more vocal on Flashpoint about spiritual warfare.
We are not only in a spiritual war, but we are at war with entities that are trying to steal, and those in our nation trying to steal our future.
And this was like exacerbated, made worse by the fact that he was a false prophet. Like, he falsely prophesied that Donald Trump would win, and then he lost. Now, it's not just, oh, I love this guy and I really want him to be president. Now it has moved into, my reputation as a pastor depends on me continuing to brazenly, openly, flagrantly lie to people's faces intentionally and knowingly, you know?
So Kunneman calls himself a prophet and he speaks in tongues. And Kunneman says that he doesn't watch the news, but a lot of the prophecies that he says on Flashpoint and in his services relate to current affairs at the time. So he's...
Yeah, things that are said on Fox News. Shit that Fox News is bitching about. Yeah, absolutely. They're completely correct here. I remember Kunneman saying he doesn't watch the news. But he's like Fox News releases a video, and the next day, like on DEI or something, and the very next day, Hank Kunneman is out there talking about DEI. I mean, it couldn't possibly be more obvious.
Said things like, God will protect the US from COVID-19 because the Trump administration has sided with life in the womb.
They have sided on the right side of life. Life in the womb.
That Joe Biden doesn't exist and that he was replaced by a body double.
And I saw this face of this Biden guy change 2 to 3 times.
And also that Trump will win in 2020.
These people definitely came across my videos, right? When they were researching for this. This is really interesting. I covered all of this stuff.
Don't think for a moment that all the things that are being said right now is a signal that this guy Biden is going to be president and our nation is going backwards.
And what's interesting is that Kunneman still claims that Trump won in 2020. He claims it was election fraud, and he says that God hates anyone who calls him a false prophet for saying so.
He hates you that are attacking your Christian brother.
He did predict that Trump would win in 2024, but he also previously predicted that Mike Pence would be president in 2024.
Are you saying to us if we pray that Pence will be president?
Yes. I'm saying recompense.
Prior to coming to Nebraska,
Recompense. Wow. I haven't seen that one, actually.
I got in contact with Charles and Kelsey, who were members of Lord of Hosts Church before leaving in 2018. I wanted to get a better understanding of what it's like to feel as though you're in a spiritual war.
Something I see a lot on Flashpoint and with Kunneman is talk about spiritual warfare. What does that mean to you? Is that something that you experienced at the church?
I felt like the spiritual warfare stuff was very real. I believed it. I believed that it was very real, that we were fighting off demons and protecting people and,
and
pushing Satan out of our country. And
feel like the Democrats were scheming and
You mean the demon rats?
plotting, and or like it was that they're either super directly evil or they were just like poor tricked people falling.
Dude, so much respect for these people coming out and talking about this. I can't speak to like the people in Hank Kunneman's church, but I can tell you for a fact that Hank Kunneman, Mario Murillo, and the others on Flashpoint, those specific individuals lie brazenly and bald-faced in an effort to help their god emperor.
For the devil's tricks, and so it did just feel like...
What's the name of the video you're watching? It is Inside the Religious MAGA Sect That Believes Trump Was Anointed by God, Times Radio.
Everything was intentional. Everything was demon orchestrated or angelically orchestrated. I remember them saying that like a lamp can have the spirit of the devil on it or something, and so you'd have to regularly go through your house and ask what's demonic and throw it away, and sometimes it's not even a demonic lamp, it's just a lamp.
I see on Flashpoint a lot that they call people who are Democrats or who don't agree with Trump as being some ways related to Satan, they're demonic. If you're part of that world and you listen to that information, how do you feel about those sort of people in the real world?
I think it makes you question everybody. I think it makes you look at your coworkers with suspicion and fear. I think
Absolutely. This is so sad, dude, honestly.
It's very othering. You know, it makes you buckle down with your safe safe in-group that has your same political beliefs and same religion and
freaks you out, convinces you people are out to get you. Like, it is so mentally unhealthy to be in this mindset.
All this stuff and question and be afraid of everyone else. I mean, that's where I was.
Unfriending people, and it was simple things like abortion or they voted for Obama, and I was like, how dare you?
Did he ever endorse a candidate as much as he has with Trump?
Not as much, I'd say.
No. When he was prophesying that Trump would win the 2020 election, I was sure that once he didn't, that Hank would back down and be like, oh, I was wrong. And I was very surprised that he never did. I think that's...
He didn't feel he could. People were calling for him to leave the church, in all seriousness. Like, what do you do in that situation, right? Like, you can't back out. You have to double down. You have no choice but to double down, right? Or lose everything. He kind of dig himself a grave.
Him just being so gung-ho for an individual, being so gung-ho for one president, that he's willing to just shape everything, throw away any moral failings of the candidate for that. Like, none of it's a bump in the road for him. He's just all in with Trump.
I do remember asking a friend after I had left, be like, so if Trump loses and he's wrong, like, does that change anything for you? And she's like, no, nothing. Which I was just like, okay, that's a cult. But
Deuteronomy 18:22. If what the prophet says does not come to pass, you shall not fear them. You shall ignore them. They shall bring, you should not be alerted by them or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but that's a very freeing verse for Jehovah's Witnesses. Looking at all the false prophecy. You know, religious extremists cannot help themselves but to prophesy. And every time they do, they're going to get it wrong. Or at least a majority of the time. Even one false prophecy is enough for Deuteronomy 18:22 to apply.
All right.
Yeah. If this human being cannot be wrong under any conditions, even if he's obviously wrong, what are you worshiping? What's the point?
I mean, you used the word cult. What was it about the church that made you feel like it was a cult?
The high control aspect was really the main thing. Like, you don't badmouth the leader. You don't talk bad about the leader. You don't hide things from the leader. If you do upset the leader, then you're ostracized. If you leave the church, you're ostracized. If you stay friends with him, it breaks his heart. You just couldn't escape the watchful eye.
And you say, how have we perverted your justice? It is because you believe your lying media.
Here, we've got something from Narikul. It's demon rats. We've got demon rats from Narikul over here. These are demon rats. They look mean. I thought they would be nicer. Just a reminder, I would really appreciate it if you guys checked out my Patreon. If you're not going to donate, you don't have to, but follow me there at the very least. owenmorgan.com/Patreon. Just in case something happens with the government or whatever. It would be really good if you had some way to connect with me and my content. I'm really concerned about that. And maybe you should consider that for other creators too.
2018, he said something to the effect of, don't trust anything you see on the news unless it comes from my mouth.
Yeah, he said, don't believe anything that doesn't come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And we're like,
and like,
whoa.
That's insane. Like, no one can say that. That's nuts. We had a friend of ours that we had.
I'm sorry to say, though, I'm sure a lot of people heard him say that and they're like, that sounds right. Yes, absolutely.
Somewhat we connected with. And her parents had started going to Lord of Hosts after we'd left. And she talked about how gung-ho they were for Trump and how crazy they were about Trump and how they thought that Biden had been replaced by somebody in a Biden suit. And they said that, she said that her parents were so crazy about like that rally on January 6th that they would have gone if they could have afforded the plane ticket.
Like, I remember someone posting like a thing about how they were getting their ankle bracelet off. Because of the pardon that Trump did. And so
Jesus Christ, that is just wrong. They were getting out of home confinement because of Donald Trump, because Trump pardoned them, not because they paid their debt to society, not because they were found innocent or any of that shit. but because they were pardoned by their god emperor. Disgusting.
They would do a civil war, like if they could.
Yeah, I mean, they're primed for it. They're told that this stuff is life or death. They are told that, you know, they're told horrible things about gay people and trans people, that they're indoctrinating your children and that they're gonna cut off your children's bits and stuff.
They got the guards and the armed guards around the place, and they even partnered with a local gun shop one of the days to teach them like shooting drills.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that they have civil war in their heart, but actually organizing that kind of thing and doing it is a totally different thing. They may think they're ready for a civil war, but they don't know. And the moment that they actually started to engage in the civil war, they wouldn't want to anymore. War is a horrifying thing that nobody should experience. Nobody. And it doesn't matter how much you hate your enemy. When you get in there, you know, it causes PTSD. Like, there were some cases with Nazis where they would get in there and they would be, you know, they'd be executing people wantonly, and they'd go home at the end of the day and lay in bed and they wouldn't be able to sleep. They'd start jumping at loud noises and stuff like that, like horrifying PTSD symptoms, even though they fully bought into the cause. Why? Because human beings are not supposed to do that to other human beings. It's like an aversion we have genetically, all the way down in our genetic code. We're not supposed to kill other human beings. There is a massive, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, massive push against that in our genes. It's like incest. There's something in our genes that makes us not want to do that. Well, with war, there's something in our genes that makes us want to, but when we see it, it fucks our heads up. The only way the Nazis could manage is by dehumanizing the people as much as they could. We're just not supposed to see other human beings die. It's like it's traumatizing. Like, even people that we don't like. I'm sure you guys saw the reaction from Charlie Kirk's death. Like, aside from whether you thought he deserved it or whatever, aside from any of that, it's traumatizing to watch that. And everybody that I know, everybody who actually saw the video, me included, regret it. Somebody asked me, it was another YouTuber, they're like, how sensitive are you to gore? And I said, I can handle pretty much whatever. Why? I had no idea what happened. I didn't even know, like, anybody died. It's literally like minutes after it happened, and I was like off doing something, and they're like, how sensitive are you to gore? I said, I can handle whatever. And they send me the video, and I watched it, and I was like, oh boy, I regret that. I have seen worse. I can handle anything, but, you know, watching that is disturbing. It's haunting, right? So the point that I'm so laboriously reaching is, with these people, they think that they would go to war. They think that they're willing to murder other people. But when they actually get into that situation, they learn better. Nobody wants to murder anybody, really. And if you do want to murder people, like actually murder people, the way that these guys are describing, there's something very broken in your head. Like, you're not functioning like a normal human being.
That really felt kind of like that war preparedness.
While tithing, donating a percentage of your salary monthly, is not uncommon in the US, something that stood out to me from watching Kuhneman's sermons was a strong emphasis on money and property.
I am going to take every ounce of property and land and building that I can get my hands on for God.
They're telling you why it is a moral imperative that you donate to their church every single sermon. Every single sermon, no exceptions.
They said tithing is what protects you from illness and family problems and car problems. And so they're like, you can't afford not to tithe, basically. Because
Yeah, absolutely. They say that, like those words. You can't afford not to tithe.
You don't tithe, you're going to get hit with bills and you're going to get hit with whatever.
Maybe you could estimate how much you were tithing monthly.
Roughly 800, let's say. And then
a month.
Yeah, a month.
It feels so stupid now, but there were multiple services where they'd have a special push or something, or a big Holy Spirit moment, and then they'd be like, oh, God's telling people to give money. And I remember writing a check for $1,000 more than once.
So Lord of Hosts...
That is so much fucking money, dude. Oh my God. And it's just gone. Evaporated into thin air. Like Hank Kunneman needed it. He didn't. None of these massive preachers need this money. They're just sitting on it. It's disgusting, dude. Do you guys know that Dennis Prager is paralyzed from the shoulders down now? Like, he can't move. He fell in the shower like a year ago, almost a year ago. Yes, it was immediately after the Trump election, November 12th or something, when he fell. And I guess nobody heard of it, even me, because I turned off the news at that point. I was talking about satanic panic shit because I didn't want to talk about Trump shit, you know? That's wild. Like, damn. I just looked this up the other day, found out about it. It's absolutely crazy. Anyway.
According to a local reporter called Destiny Herber, she found that the church and another entity group that's listed under the same address as the church, they've been buying up lots of the property here on the plaza for the last couple of years. So Herber believes that the total spending for buying up the estates here and also construction here is going to cost more than $30 million.
In 2022, Kunneman asked his congregation for $2.4 million to purchase a piece of land.
Yeah, he's filthy fucking rich, too, obviously. This is like the perfect grift, right? The perfect scam that he can run on his audience, because he can convince them of anything. He can convince them he needs money for absolutely any reason.
If you think that's a lot of money, it isn't for me and it isn't for God, and God wouldn't even have bothered to warn me in a dream.
And in September 2023, Kunneman told his congregation he needed $3 million for over 100 acres of land.
When I found out who the company that wants to buy this land, it would go against everything that we are standing here for. And I said to the devil, you sure picked a nasty one.
While the Lord of Hosts Church claims to have independent yearly audits, they aren't publicly available. And because churches are tax exempt, we aren't able to verify the church's revenue. However, according to IRS filings, Kunneman's broadcasting outreach company has been recording record profits. They went from $648,000 in 2019 to nearly $4 million in 2023.
They need to report nearly nothing. They have to report almost nothing to the IRS, but they do send in information, even though they don't have to pay anything. I'm surprised that they even filed anything. I guess this is probably his company and not his church.
$1,000 in 2019 to nearly $4 million in 2023.
And that emphasis on monetary donations extends to Flashpoint.
I cannot think of a better place to put your investment than in what is happening right now with Flashpoint. It's a good investment, and I believe it'll reap 10, 100, and 1,000 times return in the spirit.
Just like Kunneman.
It's all prosperity gospel trash.
And Flashpoint regulars like Lance Wallnau and Dutch Sheets have also been recording record profits in the millions.
While Charles and Kelsey were not Trump supporters or viewers of Flashpoint, during their time at Lord of Hosts, they both appeared to have been heavily instilled with the belief that there was a spiritual war taking place. It made me wonder how much deeper those beliefs went for those who continue to remain at the church and watch Flashpoint.
It's been more than 12 hours since Charlie Kirk was killed.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
Today is the 11th of September. It's the 9/11 anniversary, and I'm going to be going to that Flashpoint event later this evening.
Interesting. So this is the day after Charlie Kirk died.
But also today, people are waking up in the aftermath of the death of Charlie Kirk. He was shot and killed at a rally in Utah, and it sent shockwaves across the US and the UK.
Social media was flooded in response to Kirk's death, including some who appeared to be celebrating. And Trump made this address to the public.
Violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year.
And he's, of course, only talking about one subset of society. He's completely ignoring the fact that the right is like full on extreme. They are full extreme nutcases, ready to kill anybody. I mean, it's really disturbing and insane. The left is not violent like that, like not even close. And Trump has to know that.
in the most hateful and despicable way possible.
What I thought was interesting was that word that Trump used, demonizing. I can't help but think of the language that's used on Flashpoint when they talk about people who don't align with their views, that don't align with Trump. They call them satanic, demonic. It feeds into that big question of when do words turn into action?
Or is it happening already? In the past year, Trump has faced 2 assassination attempts, and this year, the Democrat Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed by a man linked to the beliefs of the New Apostolic Reformation.
Right. The Flashpoint people. Seriously. Also, the people that tried to kill Trump were Republicans. They were Republicans. So even that is an example of right-wing extremist behavior, extremist like violence.
While Charlie Kirk was not considered to be part of the NAR, he did feature on Flashpoint panels and appeared to be close with several of the show's regulars. I wanted to hear from the Flashpoint panelists and audience what they thought of his death.
What was your reaction to what happened to Charlie Kirk yesterday?
He's somebody to be admired, and I think it's remarkable, his mental acuity. And what I think it threatens a lot of people because they have a position, and obviously it scares them where he's coming from. So I think that's.
I mean, he is a Nazi. I know that they don't like that word or whatever, but that's just what it is. He's a Nazi. You don't like being called that, then don't be that.
The motive.
Are you going to the Flashpoint event? What is it about Flashpoint that speaks to you?
It's the news without the spin.
Delusion. The delusion is real. It's the news without the spin. No, it's not. That would be Reuters. Look at Reuters or AP News or NPR or PBS or something. That's the news without the spin. This is the spin without the news. They intentionally ignore major stories that are breaking that could be damaging to Donald Trump or whoever else. They come up with propaganda to benefit Donald Trump and Donald Trump alone. I mean, I don't know how you can possibly say something like that. That's wild.
I've just been watching Flashpoint for a long time because then we find out what's going on. Otherwise, we don't know what's going on.
What do you mean by that?
As far as the news and what's
It's not news.
happening behind the scenes that, we just wouldn't know those things. And so,
What do you mean by behind the scenes?
well, I would say just some of the corruption that's going on.
You said there's no spin, but watching a lot of Flashpoint episodes, I've heard a lot of conspiracies. So January 6th, that there was election fraud. Again, we know there's no evidence.
It's going to come out. It's going to come out.
Any 5 minutes now, right? Yeah, it's happening. You just wait and see. It'll be here. I mean, we're 5 years past it. And Donald Trump's been president for coming up on a year now, but it's coming. It's coming.
I mean, there's no evidence for it.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of evidence. When it all comes out, you're going to see this was Obama, this was Biden. They were, it's nothing short of treason. Okay? It's coming out. It's going to come out.
It hasn't come out, though. And we're 5 years beyond anything, and Trump is president. Like, how can you possibly say this with a straight face? Really? This is fucking nuts. We are so far apart, dude. Like, in reality, we're just not, we can't meet. I don't understand how you got here or how to get you back. I'm trying to think, like, what would I say if I were in a debate with somebody who was saying this? How would I respond to this? Like, the evidence is coming out. It's like, how do I bring somebody back from the brink like that? I guess I would try to draw them out and ask, like, what evidence are you expecting? What would convince you? That would be the street epistemology way to do it. But the militias never get together to do anything large scale. January 6th was the only time multiple groups came together to raise hell, and Charlottesville, that didn't threaten the government per se. Right. They never actually come together because they would need a comprehensive, or I'm sorry, they would need a common leader that would come along and, direct them, and it would be open treason. Like what Donald Trump is doing is still behind the scenes treason, where he's pretending not to be treasonous, but is very obviously being treasonous. He's still using coded language. If there were an actual civil war, Donald Trump would have to stop being coded. It would have to be open. And honestly, there's no need for that. There's no need for him to be open about anything because they control the government. They can wield state power to suppress their enemies without the need for a civil war. So I don't believe a civil war is on the horizon as instigated by the Republicans or the Democrats, honestly. But I think it's pretty clear to everybody that state power is being wielded in an authoritarian way to destroy Trump's enemies, effectively, disturbingly.
Okay, if what you're saying...
Oh, yeah, and we'll definitely see pogroms in one man's humble opinion. I believe we're going to see pogroms.
...is true, then my question is, how did Trump win in 2024 when the Democrats were at the height of power?
It was God.
What I hear a lot...
It was God, please.
From a lot of the Flashpoint panelists is they say that Trump was chosen by God. Do you believe that?
I do believe God is using him because we each have a part to leave our earth in a better place. And that's his job, and we're here to support him and do that.
You know, we knew Biden didn't have all the whores in the water, right?
No, I'm rejecting that, actually. I think Biden was okay. He had one moment on a debate stage where he couldn't think of a word. It was like Medicare or something. It was like 30 seconds of him trying to remember the word Medicare. Other than that, he stood up there and did a State of the Union for like an hour and a half, and he was fine. He did a debate for 2 hours, and beyond that one moment, he was fine. I'm just rejecting it. I simply refuse that premise. Kash Patel had the FBI cut ties with the SPLC. I heard that he had them cut ties with the ADL as well, which is the right thing for the wrong reasons. Although, you know, the ADL, as destructive as they are, and as much of a shill, like an Israel shill as they are, they did still teach like race-based training, like sensitivity training and things like that. And I can appreciate that. So, you know, it's not fantastic that he's cutting ties like that with these groups.
But the media was covering for him, and so was the Democrats.
I don't know about that.
Oh,
is that
Democrats were talking shit about Biden all the time. What are you talking about?
I mean, because you're saying that, you know, 2024, it came down to God, but maybe it was just down to the fact that the people in the US just wanted to vote for Trump. And then maybe in 2020, people just...
It was God.
It was God. Yep, totally. It was God. It was God.
Want to vote for Trump.
It was God.
There's a lot of talk about spiritual warfare. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that's a deep question. I mean, I say that each
It's really not a deep question. It means that you're in a literal hot war with people that you don't like.
person has a choice to make. You know, I think this part of this day and age, we have to decide what side we're going to be on, you know. Things are good and evil are becoming recognizable. When we see how evil can be, but we see how good it can be with somebody like Charlie Kirk, you know. So there's...
Bro, is Kate Sith running in circles right now? What the fuck is Kate Sith doing? I've never seen him do that before. What the hell is happening? That's funny. I've never seen that before.
But we see how good it can be with somebody like Charlie Kirk, you know. So but people have to choose, and there is a reality. There really are demons, and there really are angels.
Are the Democrats demons or demonic?
I think to be honest with you, I think they're misguided.
They're possessed by demons. Yes, that is what he believes.
You have them trying to push abortion, and the Bible says that God created male and female, right? So where'd this LGBTQ elemental P crap come from?
That's a creative one. Boy, this guy knows how to make those jokes, huh? Never heard that before. Also, this is the foundation of the country, our right to do what we want without interference with others. It's none of your fucking business.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
You know, there used to be a movement in the United States of conservatives who believed in just living your life and practicing your own thing and doing your own thing or whatever, and leaving people alone to do it their own thing. Libertarianism. There are no libertarians around anymore. The difference between a libertarian and a modern Republican is fascism. Fascism, in a nutshell, is conform or else. They believe that what's good for society should be mandatory. You must conform to our beliefs and practices and everything else, or die. That is fascism. Now, I personally believe that we should have the right to live our lives and do our thing. And as long as we're not affecting anybody else in the process, then we shouldn't, nobody should interfere with that. But fascists believe in utilitarianism in the truest sense. I believe in utilitarianism, but above utilitarianism, I believe in bodily autonomy. That comes above everything. Utilitarianism is the idea that what is good for society should be the thing that you do, right? Like, there is a trolley coming down the tracks and you're standing next to a switch. And if you flip the switch, 5 people will die. And if you flip it one way, 5 people die. If you flip it the other way, 1 person will die. Utilitarianism says the right thing to do would be to flip it to kill 1 person instead of 5, because that's what's best for the maximum number of people. Everybody agrees that that's what you should do, right? But bodily autonomy comes into the conversation when there's a fat man on a bridge above the tracks. This is not my example. This is like just the psychology example, so forgive me. But a fat man is on the tracks above, and if you push the fat man off the bridge, he would be heavy enough to stop the trolley and save those 5 people. That's a bodily autonomy argument now that you're dealing with, because you are taking somebody's rights away by doing it directly. You're directly affecting somebody. Someone walks into, a doctor's waiting room and they're healthy, and there are 5 other people in that waiting room that need transplants, a liver transplant, a kidney transplant, so on and so forth. One might say that the right thing to do would be to take the take the healthy organs from the 1 person and give them to the 5 unhealthy people, thus saving 5 people and sacrificing only 1. There's a bodily autonomy issue at play here. So the point is that fascists believe solely in conforming or else doing what's best for society, which, as an example, means not being gay, because they think that's what's best for society, not being gay. Where I believe in whether it's wrong or right or whatever is completely irrelevant. I believe in your right to do what you want as long as it doesn't affect everybody else. There's nothing wrong with being gay. It doesn't hurt anybody or affect society negatively in any way, shape, or form at all. So it doesn't even matter. But as a fascist, he thinks that you should be forced not to be gay.
Created male and female, all right? So where did this LGBTQ elemental P crap come from?
It's none of your fucking business where it came from. That's where. It's none of your business, because people can live the lives that they want to live.
Do you say that's demonic, satanic?
Very much. Very much.
Trump said yesterday in response to the death of Charlie Kirk that murder, that violence was a result of demonizing people that we don't agree with.
That's right. And here's the thing.
Are you not doing the same thing that Trump's warning people?
Yes, he is doing the exact same thing.
About.
I am. All right, there is facts and there's truth, okay? The Bible is the truth, all right? Do you know where the Bible says, or it says God cannot lie? Do you realize that if God lied, that all of this would disappear?
Oh my God, dude. Look, the Bible is so broad. There are so many different takes in the Bible. You can literally defend any position. You want me to defend abortion from the Bible? Numbers 5:11-23. You should get an abortion if your wife cheats on you, for example, or whatever. There are a number of different reasons for this. You should get an abortion. Do you want me to defend Hank Kunneman going to hell? It's easier for a camel to fit through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. You can defend any position from the Bible, any. And those aren't even difficult to defend. Those are like seemingly the correct interpretations.
I don't think the right, the Christians, we don't engage in hate speech. I think we just...
What kind of a delusion do you live in?
I think it's the mere fact...
Do you think that, calling people demonic, satanic, would you say it's on par with sounding quite hateful, doesn't it?
I'm not sure that we accuse people of that. We just point out the fact that...
Oh, you just point it out, right. We're not accusing anybody of it. We're just pointing it out. Totally. That makes sense. Absolutely.
I say we, but I think the left points out the fact that there is good and there is evil in the world.
Prior to coming out to Omaha, I contacted Kuhneman's church, who was hosting the Flashpoint event, to interview Hank and other panelists. They declined, but said I could attend as a guest, but I could not film inside. However, we've obtained footage from the episode they published online.
Would you please welcome Lance Wallnau, Rick Green, Tony Suarez. The theme of tonight is not just Charlie Kirk, but we've got 9/11 that we're talking about. But where do we go from here?
They assassinated Charlie because Charlie.
Who is they? Are they in the room with us right now? There is no they out there. Get a grip on reality, please. Saw someone say putting a red politician over a blue state is like an act of civil war. Don't remember what segment it was. That's wild. Okay, interesting. Every conservative accusation is a confession. Remember that they say the left wants a dictatorship, but conservatives act like dictators. Yeah, 100%. It absolutely is projection every single time. You can tell what they intend to do based on what they're about to defend or based on what they're accusing others of doing, right? Wild.
Charlie would not bend the knee to the radical ideologies that seeks to eviscerate the very landscape of Western civilization and our world.
And
the fuck are you even talking about right now, brother? Please, get a grip.
Of the Flashpoint episodes I'd watched, there was a lot of talk of spiritual warfare.
Let's bring the devil down! But when it comes to warfare, we can overrule the plans of the enemy if we get up in
Who the holy heck is this guy?
the heavenly places.
Why can't we hit first and start the war and go out there and take it?
Prophecy.
And you're going to begin to see on the news where men are going to begin to pass away that have been pivotal in the promotion of evil in the kingdom of darkness.
And conspiracy.
We need to be reminded how they tried to kill us through COVID.
That's right.
They fueled a narrative in America that has caused the melting pot of this country to become the boiling pot.
All of these George Soros and all of these other men.
Yeah, it's everyone else's fault. Everybody else is always the problem. Never me that's causing this, right? It's never what I'm doing. I could never be responsible for anything that's going on in the United States right now. Totally.
Who have arrogantly thumbed their nose at God.
Lock up right now in the name of Jesus.
Thumbed their nose at God. Okay.
Jesus. Yes.
It is not by happenstance that God allowed that this moment of the passing of Charlie Kirk, his assassination, to culminate with this event tonight. Though our spirits might be heavy, God said that Flashpoint can kill it.
These people are so disturbing, dude, really. The shit that they say, the shit they get up to is really, really disturbing, honestly.
Hiya! I'm looking to speak to people about their thoughts on the Flashpoint event that just happened.
Oh, it was so good. It's so awesome.
It's like a drug.
The Holy Spirit moved in such an awesome way. And this is our 5th year coming here. We're from Minnesota. So we drive 5 hours down here.
But Jesus Christ, dude.
It is worth it.
This is our 4th year, I believe. So, yeah, we look forward to it every year. It was very insightful, very powerful to get some direction to move forward.
I think that God is just in all of it, and he's just wooing and drawing people, and they do a good job.
Do you watch Flashpoint a lot?
Yes.
I look at your hats and I...
Yeah, it's guilty as charged, yes. Yeah, so we've been watching since, 20...
Dude, look at this Willem Dafoe look-alike who seems to have school shooter vibes, like, mixed all in there together. Like, what the hell?
20? Yeah. So quite some time.
And what is it about Flashpoint that appeals to you?
For me, it's that it not only gives you the news, but it also says, okay.
Willem Dafoe mixed with Macaulay Culkin mixed with school shooter.
Okay, what is God saying through it? Because many times you just need to, it's all about perspective.
I think what really stood out...
Somebody needs to check this guy's basement, like, immediately.
To me was a lot of language about warfare, war, the enemy. I've watched previous episodes in the past, and there's talks about how people that don't align with the views that people are expressing here at Flashpoint, that there's some sort of satanic or demonic force behind them. That sounds to me like in some ways that you're demonizing these people.
Yeah, and it's kind of seeming to me like you're trying to start something by saying,
oh boy.
Oh, we're saying the word war, and aren't you? You're trying to say things like...
Is that not what you're saying? Are those not the words that you are using, really?
That is what I'm hearing in there.
Yeah, okay.
And it's what I hear in the episodes. I just want to have a conversation about it.
Well, it's a spiritual warfare they're talking about.
Uh-huh, yeah, I know. Everybody's fully aware. That's the fucking problem. You got gummy bears in your ears? What's going on?
We're not talking about being violent. That's the left side. They seem to be violent, murdering people and stuff. So
I mean, would you say it's just the left side, or would you say that both sides contribute to this?
Well, God bless you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Refuses to just have the fucking conversation. Refuses to look in the mirror. Disgusting.
Need to look at what the true enemy is, that it's not the people doing it so much as what is behind them that is doing it.
Do you have any concerns that that language can be taken literally? It can actually be, it can embolden someone to act on it. Does that concern you at all?
What do you think? I mean, it's
the spirit behind it. I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean...
It's the spirit behind it? What the fuck do you even mean by that?
There's the choice between good and evil, and so you can choose to either do evil or do good. I'm like, it's a choice we all have.
So this black and white good versus evil thinking here is exactly what leads to extremist behavior. And what she's doing right now is justifying using the language that they are condemning. They're saying you shouldn't demonize your enemy like the left does. But we're allowed to demonize our enemy because they're actually evil. That's what she's doing. Psychotic.
Yeah. For example, the Democrats, what would you say that they're doing at the moment?
Just got to go back to what the Word of God says about what's morally right.
Unfortunately, a lot in the Democratic Party seem to have almost aligned against an anti-Christian kind of view, so that it's almost whatever Trump is saying, do the exact opposite.
That's just not true. Trump is a fucking dictator who is literally sending the military into U.S. cities. What do you expect? No pushback? You think we're not going to fight on that? I don't know, how these people are so adept at completely ignoring reality. It's easy to believe it's out of our control. Must be higher powers is part of the delusion, right?
It's not us versus them. It's he wants to woo and draw people to him, and he's going to teach us how to do that.
Uh-huh.
How to love people into it. But when we go, we have the word of power.
I would rather you not love me into anything. Your love hurts. Thank you anyway. Please leave me alone.
That will reach hearts. That's what we want to do. When I look at you and I talk to you, I want what I say to touch your heart. And that's what he wants us to be able to do.
Do you think that Trump was appointed by God?
Yes. It's just an unusual... God's always been able to use unusual people, for the time.
Tell me about it.
It's not exactly who we were expecting, but it's like, okay, God does things in unexpected ways, so it's like, okay.
You could say that a lot of his past actions, they put into question how much they align with Christian values or what you would see as
he's got a very checkered past. And that, I think, is why a lot of Christians really have had some heart trouble with him, because they're like, he's on his third wife, he's been a bit of a playboy, he's a bad boy billionaire. And so it's...
Yeah, which is why I'm so fucking confused right now.
It's hard to get, beyond that checkered past. But I know that he has definitely said that's, yes, I did that. I'm glad that he has owned up to it. But that he says,
He didn't own up to anything? What are you smoking?
Left that in the past. And
no, he didn't say that. He did not say, I've left that in the past. Who the fuck told you Trump said, I've left that in the past? He's never apologized for being a fucking pedophile. He's never apologized for being a scumbag. He revels in it. He's proud of it. He loves that quality about himself. What are you smoking that you think that Trump has apologized for fucking anything ever? What are you talking about?
Do you say that he has left those behaviors in the past?
To a large part, yes. I will
To a large part?
not say he's a choir boy by any means.
Flashpoint and its followers make up only a small percentage of the American population, and it's difficult to measure how words can turn to actions. I mean, words are words after all. But in the following weeks since Charlie Kirk's death, it appeared that the language of spiritual warfare had reached beyond the realms of Flashpoint and onto the main stage.
We will defeat the forces of darkness and evil.
If I can take...
Yeah, that was Stephen Miller literally plagiarizing Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister. Plagiarizing the Nazi propaganda minister. I mean, really knock that one around the noggin for a minute. That's fucking wild, right? What the fuck?
Anything away from my experience at that Flashpoint event is that although people were still willing to talk to me, they wanted to have conversation. I'm left with this question. What chance does verifiable fact, evidence, and truth have if God can be used to explain the unexplainable?
Wow, I think that's the end. Yes, that was very interesting. I appreciated that. Tell me what you think about that in the comments. Maybe we should watch more stuff like that.